The gathering storm, the crystal spires of Nexus Station, gleamed against the backdrop of the Andromeda. Nebula as Admiral Vexver studied the holographic display before him. His crystalline form caught and refracted the light from the tactical projections, creating rainbow patterns across the command center's walls. The data was troubling, more troubling than anything the Hegemony Alliance had faced in 3 centuries of galactic dominance. "Show me the expansion again," Vexver commanded, his voice resonating with the harmonic frequencies that marked his species' communication. The display shifted, revealing star charts of the Rigel sector. Red markers indicated human settlements, and the pattern made Vexvar's crystalline structure darken with concern. 6 months ago, there had been 12 human colonies scattered across the outer rim. Now, 47 systems bore the mark of human presence, each one a potential threat to the established order that had kept peace across the galaxy for generations. Commander Zara Chi, her insectoid features twitching with agitation, stepped forward from the circle of senior officers. Her compound eyes reflected the holographic data as she spoke in her species' characteristic clicking language, automatically translated by the station systems. "Admiral, our reconnaissance probes have confirmed something disturbing. These humans don't follow standard colonization patterns. Where most species establish a few core worlds and expand slowly, humans seem to scatter across multiple systems simultaneously. They're not just growing, they're spreading like a virus." The comparison drew uncomfortable shifts from the other officers present. The Hegemony Alliance consisted of 5 species that had learned to work together through careful diplomacy and mutual respect. The crystalline Vexvari provided technological expertise. The insectoid Zarati clan offered tactical analysis. The gaseous Wraith Collective contributed energy manipulation. The reptilian Saurians brought raw military might, and the aquatic depth swimmers maintained communication networks across vast distances. Together, they had brought order to over 3,000 star systems. They had rules, protocols, and procedures that ensured peaceful coexistence. These humans seemed to ignore all of it. "What do we know about their first contact protocols?" asked Depth Singer Velara, her translator struggling to convert the complex whale song frequencies into standard galactic common. Zarat's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "That's the most disturbing part. They don't seem to have any. When our patrol ships approach human vessels, the humans respond with basic identification and continue on their course. They don't request permission to enter our space. They don't offer tribute or trade agreements, and they certainly don't acknowledge our authority over these regions." Admiral Vexver's form brightened as he processed this information. In his long military career, he had encountered dozens of emerging species. The protocol was always the same: make contact, establish dominance through superior numbers, negotiate terms that favored the Alliance, and gradually integrate the new species into the galactic community. It was a system that had worked perfectly for centuries. "Have there been any hostile actions?" he asked. "Not exactly hostile," Zarat replied, "but they've established mining operations in 3 systems that have been under hegemony protection for over 2 centuries. When challenged, they claimed the systems were unclaimed territory and continued their operations." The conference room fell silent except for the gentle humming of the station's life support systems. This was unprecedented. No species had ever simply ignored hegemony territorial claims. Wraith Collective Node 7742 materialized near the tactical display, its gaseous form shifting between purple and green as it communicated through controlled electromagnetic pulses. "Perhaps we should attempt a formal diplomatic contact. Send a full embassy ship with representatives from all Alliance species." "We tried that 3 weeks ago," Zarek responded, her antennae drooping with frustration. The human response was polite but firm. They acknowledged our diplomatic status. thanked us for the contact, and then continued expanding into contested space. They seem to think politeness is a substitute for submission. Saurian war leader Groktar, who's massive, reptilian form dominated one corner of the room, spoke for the first time since the briefing began. His voice was a deep rumble that seemed to shake the station structure. These humans mock our strength. In the old days, before the Alliance, my people would have ended this quickly. One show of force, one demonstration of superior firepower, and the problem would be solved. Admiral Vexver considered this carefully. The Saurians had been the most difficult species to integrate into the Alliance, precisely because of their aggressive nature. But their point had merit. Perhaps the humans simply didn't understand the reality of their situation. How many ships could we assemble for a demonstration of force? He asked. Zara TK S compound eyes gleamed as she accessed the tactical databases. The Third Fleet is conducting exercises in the Vega sector. A Seventh Fleet is on patrol duty near the galactic core. Combined with our rapid response forces, we could assemble 1,200 ships within 2 weeks. 1,200 ships. It was the largest fleet ever assembled by the Hegemony Alliance, larger than the force that had brought the Saurians into the fold, larger than the armada that had convinced the Wraith Collective to join their cause. Make it happen, Vexver decided. Send word to all fleet commanders. We'll intercept the human expansion at the Rigel 7 system. 1 ship, 1,200 ships. Even the most stubborn species can count. As the meeting dispersed and the various officers returned to their duties, Admiral Vexver remained behind, studying the tactical displays. Something about this situation bothered him, though he couldn't identify exactly what. The humans seemed too confident, too casual about their expansion into contested space. Either they were incredibly foolish, or they knew something the Alliance didn't. 3,000 light-years away, Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UE-Civ Phantom Strike, watching the star patterns shift as her ship moved through hyperspace. The Phantom Strike was humanity's newest stealth vessel, equipped with technology that most alien species couldn't even detect, let alone understand. Elena was a career officer who had worked her way up through the ranks during humanity's first tentative steps into galactic politics. She had short black hair, dark eyes that missed nothing, and the kind of calm confidence that came from surviving 3 different first contact scenarios. Her crew respected her because she had never lost a ship or failed to complete a mission. Captain, called out Communications Officer David Park from his station. We're receiving long-range sensor data from the reconnaissance drones. The Hegemony Alliance is assembling a massive fleet near the Vega sector. Elena turned from the navigation display where she had been reviewing their patrol route. How massive? Initial count suggests over 1,000 ships, possibly 1,200. It's the largest military formation we've ever detected. Tactical Officer Sarah Williams, a former fighter pilot with bright red hair and the reflexes of a natural predator, looked up from her displays. Captain, that's not a patrol force. That's an invasion fleet. Elena nodded grimly. Intelligence had been predicting this for months. The Hegemony Alliance wasn't used to dealing with species that didn't immediately submit to their authority. Humanity's rapid expansion and refusal to acknowledge alien territorial claims had apparently triggered a military response. Dr. Chon, what's your assessment? Elena asked, turning to the ship's xenobiologist and strategic advisor. Asterisk. Dr. Marcus Chun was a thin man with graying hair who had spent his career studying alien psychology and military doctrine. He had been present at humanity's first contact with the Hegemony Alliance and had written extensively about their political structure. It's a show of force, he said thoughtfully. The Alliance has used this tactic successfully with dozens of emerging species. They gather an overwhelming fleet, make contact with a single ship, demonstrate their superior numbers, and then negotiate from a position of absolute strength. It's actually quite effective against most species. Most species, Elena repeated. But not humans? Dr. Chun smiled, and there was something predatory in his expression. The Alliance has made one crucial mistake, Captain. They assume that humans think like they do. They believe that when faced with overwhelming odds, we'll do the rational thing and surrender. Chief Engineer Lisa Torres looked up from her engineering console. She was a brilliant woman who had designed many of the Phantom Strike's advanced systems personally. Captain, all stealth systems are operating at peak efficiency. Our quantum signature is completely masked, and our new gravitational dampeners are working perfectly. Elena studied the tactical displays, her mind racing through possibilities and contingencies. The Hegemony Alliance was about to learn something important about human nature, something that would change the balance of power in this sector of the galaxy forever. Sarah, send a message to Admiral Harrison at Fleet Command. Tell him we've found our demonstration opportunity. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens human expansion. The message was sent through quantum entanglement. Communicators, reaching Earth Command in seconds, despite the vast distance. Within hours, Admiral Rebecca Harrison was reviewing the tactical situation from her command center in the Sol system. Admiral Harrison was a woman who had fought in humanity's first interstellar conflicts, back when humans were just another minor species trying to find their place in a crowded galaxy. She had learned early that in space, reputation was everything. Show weakness once, and every predator species in the sector would come calling. Gentlemen, ladies, she addressed her senior staff, we have an opportunity to establish humanity's position in galactic politics once and for all. The Hegemony Alliance is about to learn why Earth's military doctrine focuses on quality over quantity. The orders went out across human space, transmitted through the quantum communication network that connected every human colony and military installation. Ships that had been patrolling trade routes suddenly changed course. Vessels that had been conducting routine surveys began moving toward the Rigel sector. The human fleet was smaller than the alien armada, but it was built around a completely different philosophy of warfare. Back on the Phantom Strike, Captain Elena Vasquez watched as her tactical displays updated with new information. The Hegemony Alliance fleet was moving toward the Rigel 7 system, exactly as Dr. Chun had predicted. They were following standard Alliance doctrine, gathering their forces for a demonstration of overwhelming power. Captain, Sarah Williams reported, long-range sensors detect the Alliance fleet dropping out of hyperspace. They're forming a traditional battle formation, ships spread across a wide front to maximize visual impact. Elena smiled. The aliens were about to discover that humans had been studying their tactics for years, learning their weaknesses, and preparing for exactly this moment. All stations, prepare for combat operations. Signal all ghost ships to maintain stealth until further orders. Dr. Chun, you're about to see Alliance military doctrine tested against human innovation. The Phantom Strike continued its approach toward the Rigel 7 system, appearing to all sensors as a single human vessel flying alone into the teeth of the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. But appearances, as the Hegemony Alliance was about to learn, could be very deceiving. 4 minutes to Legend Admiral Vexfar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching as the massive Hegemony Alliance fleet completed its formation. 1,200 ships spread across space in a pattern designed to intimidate and overwhelm. The formation was 3 centuries old, tested in dozens of conflicts, and had never failed to achieve its purpose. Status report, he commanded, his crystalline form catching the light from the tactical displays. Commander Zarati checked her instruments, her compound eyes processing multiple data streams simultaneously. All vessels report ready status, Admiral. The human ship is still approaching our position, Estimated time to weapons range is 8 minutes. Just one ship? Vexver asked, though he had confirmed this fact dozens of times already. Confirmed, sir. Single vessel, approximately 1.8 kilometers in length. It appears to be heavily armed, but shows no signs of additional support. The Admiral studied the tactical display, showing the approaching human vessel. The ship was sleek and angular, built for function rather than the decorative curves favored by Alliance vessels. It looked dangerous, but one ship against 1,200 was mathematical impossibility. Open a communication channel, Vexver ordered. Let's give them one final chance to surrender. The message was broadcast across multiple frequencies in dozens of languages. Unknown vessel, you are surrounded by the combined fleets of the Hegemony Alliance. Power down your weapon systems and prepare to be boarded. Compliance will ensure your survival. Resistance is futile. The response came back within seconds, transmitted in perfect galactic standard. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Defense Force vessel Phantom Strike. You are operating in human territorial space. Identify yourselves and state your intentions or withdraw immediately. A shocked silence fell across the bridge. Commander Zarek's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Admiral, did they just order us to withdraw? Vexver's crystalline structure darkened with anger. Apparently, these humans don't understand mathematics. Signal the first wave to advance. We'll disable their ship and then have a proper conversation about territorial claims. 200 ships broke formation and began advancing toward the Phantom Strike. They were the fastest vessels in the fleet, designed for rapid strikes and ship capture. Their mission was simple: overwhelm the human vessel with firepower, disable its weapons and engines, and force a surrender. On the Phantom Strike's bridge, Captain Elena Vasquez watched the approaching alien ships with the calm expression of someone who had expected exactly this response. Sarah, what's our tactical assessment? She asked her tactical officer. Sarah Williams studied her displays, her fingers dancing across the control interfaces. 200 ships in the first wave, Admiral. Mixed configuration, mostly light cruisers and destroyers. They're spreading out to surround us. Classic Alliance pincer movement. Dr. Chun, is this standard Alliance doctrine? The xenobiologist nodded, consulting his data tablet. Textbook approach, Captain. They'll use the first wave to disable us and bring in the main fleet for intimidation. They want prisoners, not debris. Elena smiled, and there was something fierce in her expression. Well, let's make sure they get what they're expecting. Lisa, are all systems ready? Chief Engineer Lisa Torres checked her engineering displays one final time. All systems operating at peak efficiency, Captain. Stealth field generators are standing by, and the quantum signature masking is holding steady. Communications, send the activation signal. David Park's fingers moved across his console, transmitting a burst of quantum encrypted data that would be invisible to alien sensors. Across the Rigel 7 system, 23 additional human vessels received the signal simultaneously. The Ghost fleet had been hidden in the system for 3 weeks, their advanced stealth technology making them completely invisible to Alliance sensors. They had been waiting for exactly this moment, positioned at carefully calculated points around the system to create the perfect tactical situation. Signal sent, Captain, David reported. All Ghost ships acknowledge and are standing by. Elena stood up from her command chair, her voice carrying across the bridge with the authority of someone who had never lost a battle. Gentlemen, ladies, today we make history. We're not just fighting for this system. We're establishing humanity's place in galactic politics. The Alliance is about to learn why Earth's military doesn't rely on overwhelming numbers. The first wave of Alliance ships was now within weapons range, their formation tightening as they prepared to open fire. Admiral Vexver watched from his flagship, confident that the battle would be over within minutes. "All ships commence." "Firing," he ordered. 200 Alliance vessels opened fire simultaneously, their energy weapons creating a light show that could be seen across the system. Particle beams, plasma cannons, and fusion torpedoes converged on the Phantom strikes. Position. But the human ship was no longer there. Elena had waited until the last possible second before engaging the Phantom strike's stealth systems. The ship seemed to vanish from existence, leaving the Alliance weapons firing at empty space. "Stealth field engaged," Lisa reported. "Where?" "Completely invisible to their sensors." "Now," Elena commanded. The activation signal went out again, and suddenly the Rigel 7 system was no longer empty. 23 human vessels decloaked simultaneously, appearing from seemingly nowhere too. Surround the Alliance fleet. The ghost ships had been positioned with mathematical precision, creating a perfect three-dimensional trap around the alien formation. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, alarms began screaming as sensor operators tried to process what they were seeing. "Admiral!" Zarek shouted, her voice cracking with stress. "Multiple contacts. 24 human vessels have appeared around our fleet." Dexfer stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The human ships had appeared simultaneously, their stealth technology far more advanced than anything in Alliance databases. But more importantly, they were positioned with tactical precision that suggested planning and preparation on a scale he had never encountered. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our sensors showed only one ship." "I don't know, sir. The stealth technology is completely unknown to us." "But Admiral, look at their formation." Vexver studied the tactical display and felt his crystalline structure pale with understanding. The human ships weren't randomly positioned. They formed a perfect three-dimensional web around the Alliance fleet, with overlapping fields of fire that covered every possible escape route. It was a tactical masterpiece, the kind of formation that took years of planning and perfect execution. "Battle stations," he commanded. "All ships engage the human vessels." But the humans had anticipated this response. As the Alliance ships began to turn their weapons toward the newly revealed threats, the human vessels opened fire. The difference in technology was immediately apparent. Where Alliance weapons were energy-based and required several seconds to cycle between shots, human weapons used projectile systems that fired continuously. Streams of hypervelocity projectiles, each one guided by its own AI targeting system, began tearing through Alliance formations. The human ships moved with a coordination that seemed impossible. They changed position constantly, never staying in one place long enough for Alliance weapons to lock onto them. Their stealth systems flickered on and off, making them appear and disappear from sensors in a pattern that confused enemy targeting computers. Sarah Williams coordinated the human attack from her tactical station, her displays showing real-time data from all 24 human vessels. "Captain, enemy formation is breaking down. Their communication systems can't handle the tactical complexity of coordinating 1,200 ships under fire." Elena watched as the Alliance fleet began to dissolve into chaos. Ships were colliding with each other as they tried to maneuver in the cramped formation. Others were firing at shadows, their sensors unable to maintain locks on the constantly moving human vessels. "Dr. Chun, how long before they realize the situation is hopeless?" she asked. The xenobiologist was studying the Alliance communication intercepts, his expression grim. "Based on their psychological profiles, I'd estimate another 2 minutes. The Alliance species are used to overwhelming numerical superiority. They've never faced a situation where technology and tactics could overcome raw numbers." As if to prove his point, the Alliance fleet's formation completely collapsed. Ships that had been in perfect military formation minutes before were now scattered across the system, some trying to retreat, others firing wildly at targets they couldn't see. The human vessels pressed their advantage, their weapon systems systematically disabling Alliance ships without destroying them. It was a demonstration of precision and control that made it clear the humans could have annihilated the entire fleet if they had chosen to do so. Admiral Vexver watched his fleet being systematically dismantled and made the hardest decision of his military career. All ships, cease fire, he broadcast across all frequencies. All ships, stand down immediately. The order went out in 5 different languages, and slowly the Alliance fleet stopped shooting. The human vessels continued their precise movements for another 30 seconds, then also ceased fire, though they maintained their tactical positions around the alien fleet. Eleni Vasquez opened a communication channel to the Alliance flagship. Her voice was calm and professional, the tone of someone who had just won a complete victory without losing a single ship. Admiral Vexver, this is Captain Vasquez. I believe we need to discuss the political situation in this sector. The communication came through clearly on the Eternal Dominions bridge. Vexver looked around at his officers, seeing his own. Shock reflected in their expressions. Captain Vasquez, he replied, his voice carrying the weight of defeat. It appears we have underestimated your species' capabilities. Admiral, the battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. In that time, your fleet of 1,200 ships was completely neutralized by 24 human vessels. I think it's time the Hegemony Alliance reconsidered its approach to human expansion. Vexver studied the tactical displays one final time. 47 Alliance ships had been disabled, but none destroyed. The humans had demonstrated that they could have eliminated his entire fleet, but had chosen restraint instead. It was a message that couldn't be ignored. What are your terms, Captain? He asked. Simple, Admiral. Humanity will continue its expansion into unclaimed space. We're willing to negotiate territorial boundaries and establish proper diplomatic relations, but we will not accept ultimatums or threats. A galaxy is large enough for all of us, but only if we treat each other with respect. As the two fleets faced each other in the Rigel 7 system, word of the battle was already spreading across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. The Hegemony Alliance, which had dominated galactic politics for 3 centuries, had been decisively defeated by a species that most aliens had never heard of. Dr. Chun was right about one thing. They had made history. The Battle of Rigel 7 would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come, and humanity had established itself as a major power through 4 minutes of perfect tactical execution. But more importantly, they had done it without unnecessary destruction. The 24 human ships had demonstrated that Earth's military philosophy was based on precision and efficiency rather than overwhelming force. As the two fleets began the delicate process of standing down from combat status, Captain Elena Vasquez knew that this moment would change everything. Humanity was no longer just another emerging species trying to find its place in the galaxy. They were now a force that demanded respect, and they had earned it through superior tactics, advanced technology, and the kind of precise military execution that only came from careful planning and flawless teamwork. The age of human expansion had truly begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.